Welcome to another This Week in Coworking discussion.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the This Week in Coworking podcast feed. I am your host Hector Kolonas, and today we go behind the news with Jaime Munoz. Jaime, how are you?
I'm doing good, Hector. Thank you for having me. I am very honored to be here today. Thank you.
We are honored to have you to kind of dig into the news you're in. I'm trying to think if we should tell the news. Yeah, let's dive straight in with the news. You are now the owner and operator of COHOOTS. Congratulations. An epic company now with new epic leadership taking over from some epic founders. How does this all feel?
Thank you so much, first of all. So, yes, I took ownership as of the 1st of January, which is pretty wild. We announced it, it was a PR release on the 8th of January. And it's been amazing. We have one in Phoenix, and then we also have one in downtown Mesa, and then we oversee a large project in Atlanta, Georgia as well, that all three fall underneath my belt, which is
Oh,
incredible. So
wow.
it's been like an overwhelming month for me, but a really beautiful one as well.
That's amazing. So I would circle back to kind of what this all means. But for folks who maybe haven't had the privilege of meeting you in person yet, we're going to get introduced to many more people in
Yeah.
person for sure. But people who haven't met you yet, let's dig into your story. Nobody, at least in our generation, woke up as a kid and they're like, I want to be in co-working. Tell us a little bit more about your journey to co-working. What did you do out of college? What did your career look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually worked in the coffee world for a long time. And for those who know what Dutch Bros is, I worked for them for a lot of years. I worked for an actual shop, and then I worked for their corporate office. From there, I got hired to come and help run a shop in Phoenix. So I did that for a few years. And afterwards, they asked me to help them open up a restaurant in South Phoenix. And so then I did that. And then right after that was up and going, I looked at my partner and I said, "Hey, I don't belong here. I just want to be a part of where there's community, but like people from the city where we're all changing the city together." That was my passion. I absolutely love people. That's just who I am as a person. That's my like favorite thing to do, which is why I love the coffee world, because like your main job was just to build relationships. And so, anyways, at my last job where I had opened up the restaurant, I had a really good customer, and I told her, "Hey, like I'm on my way out. I'm looking for something new." And then she's the one that said, "Hey, I have some friends that are hiring. I think you should apply there." Long story short, it ended up being here at COHOOTS. And when I saw the job description, it was for a community manager. And I told my partner, I said, "Hey, I don't think that I'm qualified for this job. Like what they're looking for, I think it's just a little bit more than what I can offer." And he told me, and I just love it so much. He said, "Hey, you're the only one standing in your way. Move out of your way and just apply for the job." So that's how it all started. I moved out of my way. I applied for the job. I became the manager of our Phoenix location. After a couple of years, I became the managing director. After about a year and a half, I became the sole owner of COHOOTS.
That is a remarkable journey. And what I love the most about it is, yes, your partner was completely correct, right? We're seeing so many people enter the co-working industry who kind of have a little bit of imposter syndrome. They feel like they understand how hotels and restaurants and other types of hospitality work. And this co-working is this big, scary new industry. But you are a glowing example of someone who came in, community manager, managing director, now an owner. I really want to highlight that to people who are thinking about joining our industry. There are careers to be made here. It isn't just a part-time gig. It could be, but if you want to build a career here, Jaime, you are a glowing example of what is possible if
Thank
you
you.
get out of your own way and apply.
100%.
So I love that. All right, so you're now the owner. Tell me a little bit more about the deal, right? You have epic previous owners who built COHOOTS up from the ground. Obviously, you're doing a lot now at Hub. Tell me about what that deal looked like, right?
Yeah.
It's not an easy process to buy or sell a co-working space, but how did it work?
1,000%. So very lucky for me, right? I have never owned a business before in the past, so it was like when they had first asked me about a year and a half ago. First of all, I don't think I've ever like lost my breath from like hearing something before, and when they told me, it just was like a flood of emotions where I was like, I I was like completely speechless. And so I was like, I don't really know what's next, like how to do this, you know? And so very lucky for me, Odin and Jenny, if you met them before, they are wonderful human beings, wonderful mentors, love them. Um, they created a year-long plan for me that we went in, like we had like 300 tasks of things that I had to learn and train and start and take over, things how to migrate, right? So for the past year and a half, I have been in just like constant training for late nights, for early mornings and a bunch of meetings. Meanwhile, they also left this past April. They I don't want to say moved to Asia because that's not true, but they left to Asia and they're staying in different countries for like a month to 3 months at a time. So we were doing this all online. So not only did I have a full-time job, I was also like purchasing the business and learning about it as well. So that was huge for me, right? And so they actually sit, even though we're like a for-profit, right? We don't technically have a board, but they now sit on the board of advisors for me, which is huge. So which means that they aren't going anywhere. They're still here. They actually just left back to Asia, so they're just enjoying their lives. They're working for Hub, and Odin is homeschooling his kids, just ready to pass the baton, you know?
Yeah,
And so
amazing.
it just took a lot of dedication, but it also took a lot of pep talks for myself of like, okay, I can do this. I do want to do this. There's a lot of things that are very overwhelming, that are very scary. Things like you start to talk about numbers that are so beyond what you ever thought of, or paying for things that like, wow, that sucks. I didn't realize that I'd have to pay for business insurance. That is going to cost me 6 grand, you know? And I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
sure. Here's my credit card. Let me give you everything what I had left in order for this to work, right? Like it was impossible to just take over without being smart about what I was bringing financially, with my education, in the classes that I took. I took business classes just because I was like, hey, let me learn some basics again at the bottom
Yeah.
and see what is new, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a wild year and a half for us.
I can only imagine, and now is when the fun part begins, right? Is really
Yeah.
digging in, and I'm pretty sure that everyone in the co-working world and adjacent to that has reached out, covering you in support, giving you tips, and that in itself is quite overwhelming, right? So enjoy that wave, but know that as a community, we're rooting for you guys, right? We're rooting for you, we're rooting for the spaces. We're happy to see an exit in our industry. The previous owners being able to make that transition is critical. For a very long time, when the owners were done, that was it. The space closed. And the
Mm.
community had to disperse and find new homes. It was understandable that you wanted to go on and do other things and travel and do these things. But co-working is a very physical business. So my question is, why now? Right? Why was now the right time in the co-working cycle that we're in for you to make that
Yeah.
step?
So I think a couple things went into it. When Odin and Jenny, when they started this business, first of all, they're the first ones in Phoenix to start co-working. They've been around now for 16 years. And when they started it, Odin actually, I believe, was 30 years old, maybe 31 years old. And so I'm 32 years old. And it was like they said, okay, it's been 15 years. I think we're ready to pass the baton. And as they told me like all this information, they were like, we hope that in 15 years you pass the baton and then you retire or move on, you know? And so for me, I said, hey, I need to go home. I need to have a conversation with my family, my partner, you know. I really had to ask myself if I believed in our industry, if I believed in what it stood for and what the purpose of it was. You know, I think a lot of people think that co-working is a passive income like type industry, and it's 100% not. Like you have to be involved. You know, people love when you are present. Like they come because you are there, you know. And I asked myself, I'm like, hey, is this what I want to do? Like, is this how I want to spend my life? And the answer obviously was like, yes. Like I love people. I wanted to help communities. I wanted to build up teams more than anything. I love it when I can pour into a team so that way they can pour. into the rest of the community. That's like my favorite thing to do. And I realized, okay, yeah, I don't think we're going anywhere. I would love to be a part of like this next wave, our new chapters, a part of our growth. And I think that like I had to ask myself, like, do I believe in myself enough that I can do this, right? And it all goes back to like just there obviously is fear, but I have to like move around that and say, okay, yes, I do see the growth in this, you know. I
Completely
hope that
understand.
answers your question.
No, absolutely. And obviously, there's a lot of shifts happening in our industry. There's a lot of opportunities, a lot of risks. But I agree with you. I'm cautiously optimistic. You must be a little bit more optimistic. But I think we're both very confident in the fact that, co-working and co-working like products will be part of how the next generation works.
Yeah.
Regardless of how they access the space, how they book it, how they pay, all of that is up in the air and will settle over the next couple of months and years. But I think we're both on the same page that this, as an industry, as a type of space, is not going anywhere. I think if more than anything, this element of building around community and supporting our neighbors, supporting each other, is going to be even more important. So I totally get why you made the jump when you did. So whenever there is a transition, there is change, right? What is the first thing that when you came in, you're like, well, this is something I've really wanted to change for a long time. Now we're going to change it.
You know, there was not, right? I didn't want to rock the boat too much because I wanted to respect Odie and Jenny and respect all the people that have been with them on their journey for the past 16 years. And I didn't want to make a huge change. I did give a facelift to our Phoenix location because it's been around for a long time. So I was like, hey, it needs new paint, new wood, a fresh cleaning, a power wash. Those are the kind of things that I wanted to put a more cohesive, more purposeful touch to the space. Does that make sense? Our phone booths got makeovers. I was like, yeah, these are going to serve much better this way, you know? And I'm not saying that this was their goal, and this is not meant to be offensive at all, but a lot of the times it was just easier to put on a band-aid if something broke, if something fell down, you know, it's so much easier just to apply a band-aid real quick and then say, hey, I'm gonna get to it later. Let's fix them now. As we're going into this next phase, I wanted people to come in because we threw a large event on the 9th. We had about 260 people here, which was insane.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, it was great, but I wanted them to like be able to see the space and the offices and our phone booths and things that were like had a purpose, you know. So I didn't change much, but what I do know is that my staff is probably the most important thing to me because I can't be everywhere, obviously. And so when I'm not around, I really want them to feel so loved that they're going to pour love into the people for me, you know.
That's a fantastic way to see it. And I can completely see why Odine and Jenny were like, you're the right person for this torch. So great to hear that. Now, my final question is, what comes next, right? You have 3 locations under your management. Is it a focus on reaching a certain capacity? Is there expansion plans? What can we expect next from Codes?
Yeah, you know, honestly, there's a couple things. So the project that we oversee in Atlanta, Georgia, actually is a big partnership with the city, and I love what we do out there. My dream is for us to replicate that in multiple cities. I think that would be huge for us. So that's it's not really co-working, it's like property management and incubation for all new businesses out there, which is incredible. So that would be huge for me, and I would love to do that. As far as COHOOTS go, I would love to open up one in the West Valley of Arizona. So right now we are in Central Phoenix, we have one in the East Valley, and then I would love to open up one in the West Valley. There's just a larger population of people of color, like people that need a home hub spot. Let me help you guys. Let me be a part of your city. All my family lives out there. And I love it. 15 years ago was not a place to be, and now it is jam-packed out there. I would love for us to go out there. My goal is in the next 2 or 3 years. I just started the conversations with the city of Avondale so we can see what's the partnership look like. How can we benefit each other? That's what I would love to do. So, and then of course, if there's room for more growth, I absolutely would love to keep growing. But being aware that I can't do it all is also a very realistic thing. You know, we're not in this industry because we want to be rich. Like, of course we do, but like we're just not going to be like multimillionaires. And so being aware that like, hey, this does come with a lot of manpower and man hours, like not overstretching myself at first, I think is huge for me.
And it is about, scaling in the right way. Scaling where you have the right people in place, right? We're a very people-centric business. We are, as much as we automate, people come in because there's people there. I've yet to see a very successful, fully automated space that's designed to be a community hub. There are drop-in
Totally.
spaces and they are part of the ecosystem, but especially what COHOOTS does well, you need people, but you need good people, and you need to be able to support those people once again so that you can pour into the community. Jaime, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story and for taking over the torch at COHOOTS. Is there anything that you would give to people joining the industry as like one piece of advice before we hop out?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you something about myself just to help encourage other people. So I stutter, and I took 8 years of speech therapy, and people were always afraid, especially like my therapist were like just always assumed that I was going to be a very quiet kid. Most of them that do stutter, but like learning to push past it and to believe in yourself and know that you can, like the fact that I'm even on a podcast, it was a thing that I have always said I will never do because I don't speak well. I don't know how to speak well. It's not that I can't learn, it's that my body won't let me. Long story short, we all have our own fears, our own struggles that we think are hindering us. And I just want to remind people that we need to push past that. We need to get out of our own way and just run towards our goals and our dreams. It is so huge. I feel very lucky to be where I am today.
And we are very, very lucky to have you in the co-working community. Thank you again, Jaime. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for stepping up and getting out of your way so that you can make the change in the world that we all deserve.
Thank you so much, Hector. I appreciate it.